Welcome to another episode of the Rogue Asset Podcast, where we just don't talk about wealth. We build it brick by brick by brick. We try to give you guys the game. And how we do that is we bring on guests that have lived it, that have built their situations brick by brick. This podcast was designed to impact you, to have real impact on your life, for you to not only realize that the road to entrepreneurship is filled with many different potholes, many different challenges. We're not trying to just give you situations where it just kind of appears that everything just happens to work out. Okay, we like to talk about the hustle, the mission, and the execution that goes behind having a real impact on your business, improving yourself, improving your family situation, all of that. If you rocked with us during season 1, you would see that we brought a lot of different voices to the mic, that influence culture, that gave you game. We brought you real estate bosses, wealth architects, creatives, people that gave real impact to situation. If you guys watch season 1, then what you'll realize that you got from this podcast is what I call the underdog MBA. Season 2 is going to be even that much better. Listen, you don't need another podcast that is going to tell you grind harder, manifest harder. You need a blueprint. You need a blueprint in order to execute. And with season 2 of the Real Asset Podcast, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to get into it on season 2. Before we get to season 2, though, I want to actually go back and recap season 1. Some of the great guests that we had on season 1, we had everyone from creatives to legacy builders, real estate bosses. So, we're going to go back and kind of take a look at some clips. We're going to start out with a clip here. This is Tia Nadira, who's a social media influencer. And this is what she had to say when she appeared on the Rogue Asset Podcast. Here's a clip.
Do you guys peep the hustle? the 5 figures, companies, corporations.
Or 6, I don't mind.
It'll be worth it. It'll be worth the money spent. So, which brings us to the other unique thing that was just on showcase here, right? We just talked about the creative, but did you guys see the business mind interwoven in with the creative? I'm telling you, this lady is serious stuff. Now, before we kind of go ahead, I wanted to also talk about the resilience of our guest today. Unfortunately, we had this scheduled and we actually had to push it back because both her and I were experiencing some things that were dear and personal to us. And I'm not going to get into that right now unless she does. But once again, I'm just going to say that, we are praying for you and your family.
Thank you. And I don't mind sharing. Recently, my grandmother passed away. She was one of the Sapelo 7. If you don't know, I highly recommend looking it up because the cultural history there is very fascinating. But I take every opportunity to mention my grandmother when I can because she was an amazing spirit. Like I said, she was 93 years old. She was on a day trip, one of many. She was a woman full of life. She was very proud of what I'm doing. She was a lifelong teacher, and I feel like she would be so proud to see me up here. So I speak on her every chance I get. And, but yeah, I'm very happy to have had her as my great-grandmother.
Cool. And what's her name?
Her name was Carlotta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my great-great-grandmother. But she was my children's great-great-grandmother, so she was a 5th generation.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Well, she's with the ancestors, and I'm sure will be a great contributor, to you in spirit as she was
Absolutely.
when she was here. So, all right. So we're going to kind of move on, talk about some of the things in the world of digital marketing and creative strategies for revenue generation, and just some personal reflections on your success and creativity. So one of the first things, I was actually excited for you recently because I saw that you went viral on something. What happened there? Tell us about that.
Okay, so I already had a pretty large following on TikTok. I have about 217,000 followers on TikTok, and I gained that following through my series, Surviving Poverty, and it's about making money and finding ways to make money from no money. As you know, that was my skill set. If I had $0, I was going to try to figure out how to add some money to that. And I just taught people the different things that I did, and I went viral doing that. But I decided that I wanted to kind of shift my niche away from just teaching people how to make money, because I realized that there's also a lot of fun, power, and money to be found in just being relatable and interesting. And I kind of had this relationship with social media where I felt like I always had to be useful before I was willing to create content. It was kind of stifling me. So I deleted all of my viral content prior to this moment and decided I was going to take a shift, and I was going to start showing more of my quirky mindset. And one of those things I did was I created a whole family tree of American cities. So I have this feeling that certain cities are like related. So I say that Houston is our little sister, Washington D.C. is our bougie auntie, and I've been saying this for years. It's always an ongoing joke, but I decided to make a video about it. And right now it's at like 3.5 million views on Instagram. It got shared on Shade Room. It got shared by Lil Duval. It just became this huge thing. So now that's kind of like my niche unintentionally.
Right.
But it was really fun because it did get to showcase my more creative side, and it was just.
And what's crazy, it makes sense when you kind of look at it. I feel like Houston and Charlotte are like the little brother and sisters.
Yeah.
And DC was kind of, DC is the bougie,
Right.
the bougie aunt.
That's what I think.
So creatively that is something. So tell us, what are some of the hottest, latest digital trends that's happening right now?
I would say there's a belief that there has to be some sort of trend happening to go viral, or I feel like social media has been very consistent. You either have to be entertaining.
All right. Fantastic, man. I love it. I love it. Some of the things that she shared here, you can definitely go back. It's impactful and make it work. So secondly, we had Rodney Simpson on the pod. It's a gentleman that has worked with people like Jagged Edge, just to name a few. He's in the process of actually, he's executive producing a movie that they're shooting right now. Here's what he had to say.
They gave me permission. I went to all the different schools, high schools around Atlanta, and talked to who I needed to talk to, principals or whatever, about let's bring in the artists, which would have been Scar, Janelle Monáe, Killer Mike, all our artists in, and let them do shows at the school and let some of the artists perform for them, like a high school high would be like a showcase. And then Jay Meeks had worked on a mixtape, so it would all flow together, mixtape, and you got the show. But my biggest thing was showcasing the artists to the kids. We did it a couple of times. We did school in the South Side off of, I can't think what it was, but it was on the South Side. We did a couple of shows. Then Big Boy came up with this thing called Big Boy's Boom Boom Room. Mm-hmm. He did it in the underground, Sugar Hill, the old Sugar Hill Club. Gone now.
Yep, I know what you're talking about.
But I brought in a dope artist, female singer. I would go to Cafe 290 when I was with Jagged, and that's where we recruited a lot of our artists from. Carol O, she had a showcase called Who's Got That Vibe? Mm-hmm. And I was usually on the panel. Miss Casey put me on this panel when I was with Jagged, so I kept a relationship with Carol O, so she would invite me to come back even when I was over at Purple Ribbon. So I found a lot of artists that were coming through her showcase and introduced them to Ian, and he was like, yeah, cool, they could perform, whatever.
Okay. Man. all of this kind of takes me back. I remember those days well when we recorded those particular episodes. Here is one of my favorites that we had on season 1 that talked about insurance. My guy, Ayo Saba.
You said insurance is a tool that guarantees generational wealth for pennies on the dollar. Break that down for us.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, we'll in fact, cause we'll start there because we might spend a bulk of our time there, especially now what's going on, right? You know, we've gone through these past couple of years with this COVID stuff, right? We're going through, you know, everybody's having health issues, right? Obviously, the topic is life insurance, right? But we talk about generational wealth. You know, most individuals in our community, we don't really think about the life insurance until it's too late, right? The important part about it is that you want to be able to get it while you're young, right? And I'll give a prime example. I start from the genesis. I'll give you my story, right?
Okay.
So my story, you know, I'm the first son in the U.S. of an immigrant. When I was born, the day after I was born, my mother passed. Okay, so understand, you know, my father's Nigerian. He came here prior to my mother passing. Sat my father down in the immigration office, did everything else. You know, when the day after I was born, my mother passed. My dad got his immigration 2 weeks later. You know what I mean? So understand like how, you know, crazy this is. So then on my American side of things, they're thinking like, oh, who's this African, this, that, and the other. You know what I mean? There was some issues with the hospital and some things went wrong. But that money, my father didn't touch a dime of it. He didn't touch a dime of that money. That money that came from that lawsuit and all those other things that happened went directly into life insurance. Didn't touch a dime of it, right? So that's the important thing that we got to think about sometimes. One major thing. So people needed a life insurance. One, the person who gets the life insurance, you have to understand, you're mourning. You know, so I've been in situations where I've gone to funerals and actually delivered checks to a spouse and they had no idea what was going on. You know, I've delivered a check and it was like, yeah, you know, my husband set this up or my wife set this up. You didn't know? He said, no, I didn't know anything. You know, and that's kind of what it's for, because in that time of mourning, you're going through everything in your head.
And then, you know, on our very first episode, when we shot our very first episode of the Rogue Asset podcast, I kind of wanted to prove a point. I was starting this new venture, which was going to be my podcast. I had quite a few guests lined up, but there was something that I wanted to do, which was to I have 2 sons, and I wanted to have one of them on my podcast. Both of my sons are creatives, and they're both independent. They're entrepreneurs in their own right. So I wanted my first podcast to be with my oldest son, who's a musician, a vocalist. And here's what he had to say about his career and how it was going at the time.
A huge effect. Just being able to hear other music in other countries and hearing, I think one of the biggest things with me was hearing hip hop all over the world, and not just like American hip hop, but like Italian hip hop and like, you know, Japanese hip hop and like, you know, or hip hop in Japanese or hip hop in Italian, and even in other English speaking countries, but their accent is so strong. You're like Scottish hip hop rappers, and you know, it's so different. It has the same spirit of what we do in America, but it's very different. And then obviously hearing, you know, going to the Middle East and hearing like Arabic songs and thinking about when I do songs or I'm singing arrangements with using the Arabic scales on my little bit of knowledge that I have of it, and all of that inspires it. And also it makes you go, keep doing what you're doing, because your sound is not just confined to where you live. You know, I've, you know, been on Germany Apple Pop playlist, you know what I'm saying, for features that I did, and you know, the music works not just in your country, and it's okay. It's like it's all right, like you got this. And I've been able to go to other countries or another country and perform and multiple times, and having opportunities in other countries has been one of the things that I'm proud of the most, being able to go international with it.
Yeah, I think that's very important.
Hey man, if people that don't look like me can utilize nepotism in order to forward the family agenda, so can I. So I am glad I was able to have my son on my first season of the Rogue Asset podcast. Here's my guy, one of my favorite people. This guy is like the Yoda of real estate, especially when it comes to real estate investing. He's a founder of Flippology. Brother just had like a conference recently that, to celebrate his 10th anniversary of doing like what he calls Flippology, which were boot camps. Here's my guy, Ramon Tukes. And here's what he had to say when he stopped by.
Some people don't care about the leveraging piece.
Right.
But most of us don't have enough to do a deal out of our pocket. So we got to learn how to play the leverage game. Borrow some money, use our money for the down payment, make sure we got enough carrying costs. What does that look like? I get people all the time and say, if I don't make $50,000, I'm not doing the deal. You know what I tell them? That's why y'all still sitting on the sideline. You need some help because there's so many small things in the middle. It's so many small things that's tucked up under somewhere, up under that little rock, that if somebody don't help you, you might fail.
Yeah.
And it's, I won't say don't be scared to fail, but you're gonna hit some of those. You're gonna get hit with some of those rocks. You're gonna have your problems.
Yeah, I mean, in anything that you undertake, failing is a part of the journey.
Yeah.
You can't be scared to fail. I mean, that is an accurate statement.
Yeah.
Because listen, man, at the end of the day, even when you look at sports, one of the favorite things that I love when people point out, Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player ever, right?
Most of us lose money every day by watching or scrolling. I'm guilty. Scrolling. You get on TikTok and something funny, so you go to the next funny. Something funny, you go to the next funny, right? Somebody pop a pimple, you go to the next pimple, right? And you look up, it's 2 hours later.
Right.
Man, it was quite a season, wasn't it? Had a gentleman that ever since I've known this kid, and I'm older than him. He's not a kid anymore. He's a grown man with a family of, I think he now has 3 daughters, but he's a sports fanatic, knows everything about sports. I had to get him on the pod. I think the Shannon Sharp situation was going on. That was still entrepreneurial to me because Shannon is a brand in himself. And we wanted to explore how that was possibly the negativity was going to affect his brand. So here is Dennis Suber. Today we're covering one of the hottest topics right now in sports, man. The Shannon Sharp scandal is what we're going to call it.
Uncle Shay Shay. Pause.
They call Unc. Nah, Shannon ain't really my Unc though. Shannon,
Yeah, he not your Unc.
That's more big bro.
Yeah, that's bro for you.
Yeah, that's big bro for me. But yeah, so we're gonna talk about the Shannon Sharp scandal. Just the brand impact, Shannon's career, the impact on his brand. And let me say this, man. Based on what I've heard of the situation, especially with this particular attorney involved, I am going to say this is less than kosher and probably real, and I'm looking forward to when the real facts come out.
Okay.
But I mean, anything this lawyer kind of puts forth at this point, I'm kind of like, whatever. Great social media fodder and whatever, but I'm not putting a lot of credence in it.
Okay.
So let's see what turns up. I'm hoping Shannon will be aggressive in dealing with this. It's a shame you don't want anybody kind of dumping on your Hall of Fame career. And like I said, man, Dennis knows his sports. He's also a wonderful guy when it comes to automobile entrepreneurship. If you want to know anything about cars as well, that's the guy. And he can get you pretty much anything. Now, who do we have up next? I also had Miss Sharon Henry on the podcast. Sharon is a real estate industry leader nationally and locally here in Atlanta. Fantastic real estate broker, real estate investor, overall entrepreneur, servant leader, and this is what she had to say. So let's talk about why real estate is still one of the greatest tools for building generational wealth.
Good question. So for me, and should be for everyone, it's an asset, right? I hear a lot of people, the gurus, that they say, oh, real estate is not always an asset, it's a liability. No, it's not. It's an asset because, God forbid, something happens, life happens, you can tap into that property and you can take out the equity and extract that and do whatever you need to do and take care of your family, right? If you're renting, you can't extract the asset from your rental property. You can't call your landlord up and tell them, oh, I'm going to be a couple months late. You're going to get kicked out, right? But if you own the asset, if you own the property and you're a couple months behind, hopefully not 3, you can call the bank and you can say, hey, I'm falling on a little bit of hard times. I need to put my 2 payments in the back and try to catch up. They will talk to you. They will figure it out. The bank, by the way, do not want your property. No matter what anybody tells you, they do not want to foreclose on your property. They don't want the real estate. They want you to pay the bill. So answer the phone when they calling you. Answer the emails, respond, call them, But I think that it's the best thing ever to do. Real estate is getting more expensive. It's not getting any cheaper.
No.
And land, they're not making anymore.
No.
That's all we got. So
No.
look at Warren Buffett and all these guys that are billionaires, okay, and trillionaires. What do you think that they get their wealth from? Real estate.
Real estate is in there. It's going to be in there.
Okay.
And now billionaires buy real estate in other parts of the world.
Other parts of the world.
Not just their home countries.
No. Or your home state.
Or your home state.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's now, you have to go out of state if necessary. So, in doing this, what I have found in my life, it's very easy to make money. Okay, very easy to make money. Anybody can make a couple $1 million. What is most challenging is holding on to that money once you have made it. So in the spirit of that, I decided to bring on a certified financial advisor, somebody I've known since my days at Howard University, who does a great job in his field, highly regarded. So I brought on Martin Smith to talk about legacy and holding on to some of that money that you guys make out there. Here's Martin.
Hyper helpful. So, I've seen generational wealth as a financial advisor. I have, and I've seen the other side of it. I've seen the impact of, more so Jim Crow, right? And how that has impacted our wealth. Because I've met with maybe a couple hundred families or so, right, over the years. So I've been in situations where a client will have $3 or $4 million. I'm like, what do you do for a living? Oh, I work at AT&T. And how in the world did you get this? Well, my grandfather had these many acres in, Howard County, Maryland. And, one of my clients actually had this story, and then she said, come follow me to this room. So I go in the hallway, here's a picture of a family tree. And so she points out, this is my great-great-something grandfather lived here in Maryland, and he owned slaves. And this is so-and-so, and he had enslaved people. She literally just walks me through her family tree and points out who was a slave owner. And they have all these acres and, multi-million-dollar family. My clients to this day, right? I was just like, wow. That gave me a perspective of how generational wealth through this country has impacted for the good some people, while simultaneously, on the other hand, having a negative disadvantage for other people. And so I think we have to understand that, but understand how that works. And I tell people that, they say Capitol Hill and Wall Street, 2 opposite sides of the same coin.
Yeah, whatever. If you want to believe that, honey. And I think black men and black women have 2 different challenges. but we need to come together and we need each other.
Mm-hmm.
We can't survive without each other. I think black men are number one target in America.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Black women, we've carried the load. And I don't feel like the black men have taken the leadership that they should. I just think that they're quiet now. After Martin Luther King died, we don't hear from the black men.
So if I could do it over again, I would just tell you, if you're starting in anything, find your 5 people, find them, do whatever they need you to do, and stay with those people. Now, they have to care about you, though. They can't just be rich and have those things and not give a damn about you. They have to literally have a heart for, we're going to help this young person.
Right.
Because that's where you see young people blow up quick.
All right, so listen, that's it for our recap of season 1. That's all that we can kind of fit in this show. So let's talk about what's going to be different in season 2. Okay, in season 2, we're looking about blueprinting success. We're adding some new things. What we want to add is real-time mentorship. I'm going to ask one of our past guests, who already know who I'm going to ask, to bring in, that loves to mentor people, right? And I'm going to ask that individual to contribute their time and one of their mentees for this season. And we're going to track their mentorship and the results with the mentee, right? So we're putting in real-time mentorship into season 2 with one of our past guests as that mentee's coach. And this mentee is going to be plucked from one of you guys out there, okay, that watch the Rogue Asset podcast. Listen, I started this podcast because the business wealth space, they don't talk about us. Okay, they talk around us. So I wanted to do something that was gonna be direct for us, for the entrepreneur that's starting from zero, the person who zero is all they got. There's no money coming from mommy, no money coming from daddy. Right? You're not getting a few $1 million to venture out with your dream here. You're going to start this from scratch. So that is why we're contributing these particular resources so we can show you someone that's going to do this in real time. Okay? Because we live in a society right now, they're not talking truth. Everybody's showing up on Instagram, two-row cars, red bottoms, talking about how great they're really doing while they're not doing so great. So we want to show you folks in real time that are starting from scratch, starting with zero, no investments, okay, expenses, and no blueprint. So we're going to take it, we're going to put the blueprint in place, we're going to put the coaching in place, and we're going to take this from 0 to whatever, right? We're going to run it up. So every episode this season is going to leave you with a blueprint. It's going to leave you with a literal or a mental blueprint. And you might be asking yourself, what does that really mean? And what I mean by that is regardless of what you're trying to do, whether your goal is to fund your deals, fund your startup, financing your side hustle, protecting your family with legacy tools, this season, we're going deep. How deep? We're going deep. The one thing that I can always tell you that we're going to do the one thing that we're always going to do here at the Rogue Asset Podcast, we're always going to have real people on that talk about real plays. No fluff. We don't get fluffy over here. Okay? We don't get fluffy. We don't get wavy. This is just straight Game. Straight game to the dome from people that have done it, are doing it, and do it at a high level. I can't wait to introduce our mentee and mentor in a future episode. So what are we really doing? What are we really doing? I'll tell you what we're doing. Right? Tell you what we're doing. We are going Shark Tank here. This is going to be like Shark Tank meet discipleship and accountability. Right? So Shark Tank meeting discipleship and accountability. That's what we're doing in season 2 of the Rogue Asset Podcast. So listen, here's the play. Subscribe so you won't miss the mentee story. Download the Rogue Asset Podcast toolkit, resources kit. That's going to be available in the show notes. And if you believe in what we're building, man, rate the show, like and subscribe us on social media. We appreciate you. You're not just a listener, you're part of the blueprint. Season 2, all I got to say is welcome to the execution.